Thank you so much for joining us. We have not one but two great creators with us. Both of these men I've met and got to know a bit over the years. They're fantastic conversationalists, and their humor is dynamite. They have a new collaboration coming out at the end of this month. We're going to be talking about their award-winning collaboration on the Tiny Titans, among other things. Everybody, the other dynamic duo you definitely know, the well-dressed, the funny, the bearded Art and Franco. Everyone,
The bearded, I
Hello,
like that.
everybody.
you
Depends on
know,
what time of year, yeah.
yeah, man.
This is
So
the deadline beard happening right now.
there you
Since
go.
New York Comic Con. I'm not
May-
gonna shave it till C2E2. Maybe. Probably keep
Maybe.
it. We'll
Ooh.
see. Get real big like
Oh
Chewbacca.
oh
Yeah.
boy, you know. Just remember,
Mhm.
if you're looking in the mirror and you still see Alan Moore, you're good enough.
Oh,
You know?
he looks in the mirror and sees me, I think. You know?
Oh, boy, that's a lot. You know,
Yeah.
and
That's
speaking of,
a
just
scary
turned
proposition.
70 recently.
Yeah.
So,
If he's lucky, he'll get to meet me one day. I know he's waiting.
oh
Well,
man,
then,
Mhm.
yeah, he wouldn't hate his own work if he saw you. So
That's right.
he'd be
honest.
like, "Oh, this is great.
Well,
I
thank you
love
both.
this Swamp Thing." Yes.
Oh, thank you both for joining us again, guys. Nice to see you. You guys have been pretty busy, separately, and you're collaborating on uh, Flash Gordon. So you're giving it the little treatment. So how how did that come up?
we we found out that Mad Cave got the Flash Gordon license the
Hmm.
same time everyone else did, pretty much. And I thought, like, man, that would be cool. And then once they announced it, uh, my editor reached out to me. I think that's how it went. And then he said, "I'll talk to you at Terrificon." I'm like, "All right, cool." And then went to Terrificon. He goes, "I know you want to do it." And then Franco was there too, and he goes, "You guys want to work together?" And that's exactly how it went. It was so it was like guys hanging out having a conversation, and we ended up working on the book.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think they called us up and asked us about it, and they said, "Oh, we'll be at Terrificon and we'll
Yeah.
talk to you there." And we're like, "Great!" So when we showed up at Terrificon, they're like, "Hey, do you want to work on this?" And then by the end of Terrificon, they're like, "Good, deal's been set." So
Yeah, yeah, we got
it moved
approved
really
right
fast.
away.
Wow.
That's
And I don't
fantastic.
think we told each other about it either. It was just we showed up and uh our editor just put us together and just talked to us at the same time. So it was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought in the beginning I thought they wanted an adventure series more like uh adult, like um all ages but superhero type like how we did Superman Family. But
Okay.
then they said no, we want Tiny Titans. The Tiny Titan style. Like, oh, we know how to do that, and
Yeah,
I
we've
was
done
able to
that.
we were able to slip into it real easy. It like once you click the Tiny Titans button, you switch that button, it gets
Mhm.
real easy to make things. Like, uh, we must have wrote the whole thing in like 1 or 2 days, maybe even less, probably 1 or 2
Wow.
sittings, I would think.
Mm.
Yeah, and it was just so fun. Like we just started uh, saying what we knew about Flash Gordon, and I
Mhm.
even watched. I even watched all the serials. I watched. There's three groups. There's three seasons of serials. I don't know if they call them seasons, but there's
Mhm.
um, and I watched all three, and then we watched the movie, of course. But I really love the serials, and that's kind of like a lot of the humor and the character designs and stuff are based off the serials and the cartoon. We both love the cartoon, so
Right.
that's where yeah we grew up with this stuff, man. It was pre Star Wars.
I,
Any
I,
chance we see the Defenders of the Earth show up?
I
oh god.
never no, I never saw it. I don't know what that is. I know the characters because I saw the toys, but I never saw the show.
Oh god.
Yeah,
I
I,
know
I love the cartoon and I watched it, but they were very specific about wanting just Flash Gordon for this.
yeah,
So
Okay.
yeah.
yeah.
They had Defenders of Earth. They were doing another comic. I think Dan DiDio's. Yeah, Dan DiDio's writing it. And
No, no.
the first few books came out already. I know I saw them at the shop.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, they look cool. Hmm.
Uh, because it's funny because I had no art. I had no idea there were serials. Like the only
Yeah.
Flash Gordon I know of is having seen the movie when I was younger. And it was so funny because I'm watching. I was like, "This is great," and I was like, "Boy, you just later on in life, I was like, you got to really admire Queen. They just
Yeah.
wrote songs, and they made an entire soundtrack out of just one beat
Boom,
and
boom, boom, boom,
one
boom, boom,
song.
boom,
It's
boom.
repeated 7 times.
Yeah,
And like, you know what? It was the 80s. Good for them. Like,
yeah,
well done. But literally, I was like, man, I feel like I can play bass now. Just dun 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 dun, flash,
yeah.
ha, ha. I'm
Yeah,
just
to
like,
me, it didn't stick with me because Star Wars came first for me. Like Flash Gordon, the black and white ones were way before Star Wars when I was a little kid, and then I watched Star Wars, and everything that came after that wasn't Star Wars, so it didn't stick. I
right.
needed that, and but my wife is a huge Flash Gordon movie fan, so
Okay.
I saw it several times since I've been married 20 something years, and I
Mhm.
watched it like at least once a year with her. I bought her the DVD, so we put it on, and so I learned to like it a lot more as the older I get. It's just goofy and corny and bright colors, and it's cool. And
Mm.
the Hawkman,
Brian
Baltan,
Blessed. Yeah.
Baltan, yeah, he just screams a lot. I love characters when they yell and scream and they're outrageous. So I learned to like it now, but it didn't stick when I was a kid because it
Right.
was like, it was, and it wasn't. It didn't look like serials. Like Flash Gordon was different. Like
Right.
he needed the short hair to
Mm.
me, and he needed sleeves. I don't know, but he was. But I like it now. But
Okay.
yeah,
I I've
Sure.
only seen it once. It was my friend James, who's on a different show with me, Uncle Necro. He every year has a birthday lament in December where he gets a big screen TV in the back of this pub, and they well he used to get a projector and stuff, but they got the big screen TV, and he'll pick out 3 terrible movies, and then we randomly choose one and watch them. And it was Flash Gordon, and I fell asleep
oh,
like sitting in this pub drinking and just watching Flash Gordon. It was just like, and carries out. Okay.
yeah, you got it. You can't start
So
drinking before, you know. Yeah.
yeah.
Carrie,
I,
everybody has one movie they fell asleep during. And me, the first time I saw Street Fighter, I fell asleep. So,
Oh,
you
You're not gonna
know,
fair.
like my answer, Drew.
Justin,
Yeah.
it's okay, buddy.
You
It's
know
It's
what's weird is that the older you get, the more movies you fall asleep in.
yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
that, that is true.
That's
Like,
kind of where I was going with it. Why do they have recliners now at the movie theaters?
Yeah.
It's like
Right?
yeah,
dad
That's a
repellent.
horrible idea for older people.
I agree.
There's a movie that I'm not going to mention what it is, but I've tried to watch it 7 different times and I've fallen asleep every single time. So I refuse to watch that movie now.
I
wow.
have a similar movie, and it's a newer one, and you're not gonna like it, Drew.
Buddy, I don't judge you. It's
Yeah.
just that sometimes your choices are wrong. So that's
No.
just how we go about it, you know?
I'm just saying, man. It's the new Hellboy and the Crooked Man. I fell asleep 7
Mm.
times watching that damn movie. I yet to
In
watch
one
it all the way
time
through.
during one movie,
I've
Yeah.
tried. I've
7
tried
viewings.
numerous times to watch
Oh,
it,
I see.
numerous times. So
I've
Is-
never seen The Fifth Element all the way through.
wow, yeah.
I,
Yeah,
So that one's a bit more exciting for me, I
doesn't
think.
stick.
I
Yeah.
had a friend who had such a big deal about the Fifth Element that when I finally saw it at the Alamo, he had to post about it. He was like, I finally got him in the theater to see the Fifth Element. He loved it as he would. And I'm just like, I was like, I'm sorry. It just never ever came up a conversation. I'm moving it. Hey, let's watch the Fifth Element. That was never, a
Mhm.
conversation that ever came up for these movies. So it's just one of those. So I agree with you. Sometimes it just takes you a while to get there, but you're like, this is good.
Mhm.
This is quality.
I might watch it tonight, you know.
You know? I mean, what was it? It was the same way. I just finally watched all of Grease for the first time, and in
The
Candy,
police?
no Grease,
Grease. Oh yeah, Olivia.
yeah,
Mhm.
and I'm just watching it. I was watching with a friend, and this entire time, she just said it was more funny my reactions because I'm like, what is going on? Like, this entire time, I'm like, what? And she just was just laughing at me the whole time, and I was like, I can't help it.
Mhm.
I've loved movies that every time I'm watching a movie, I instinctively Mystery Science Theater 3000 it, especially if it's questionable. I'm like, why are we making these decisions? Why is the car flying? Is it because of the end of the movie? I don't get it.
Because they died in the beginning.
Yeah,
They
they're
drowned.
all drunk and
Oh, I
high the
know
whole
the
time,
theory.
and then they die.
Yeah,
Oh,
they
I know.
drowned in the beginning.
I,
Mhm.
I know. I know. I got the theory. I was like,
It's a family movie. It's great.
Mhm.
oh yeah, exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
poor Eugene.
It
Uh,
tells all young girls you must change to get your man.
Yeah.
He doesn't want you
And have
nice. He wants you
sex.
nasty.
Mm.
mhm.
Wants you nasty.
It's it's
Mhm.
o it's okay. I just like to think the real winner of the movie is Eugene. You know, he got made fun of a lot, but I'm like, that man is probably a billionaire right now.
Yeah,
True.
I don't know
Yeah.
about that, man. I'm friends with
Yeah.
him on Facebook. So
But
Very cool.
so back to Flash Gordon. Um, what was there anything you guys couldn't like you that from Flash Gordon you wanted to have in there that you just it didn't fit? It ended up on like the cutting floor. If there's like a Flash Gordon extended cut, you would be like, "Yep, it's right there."
We got a few gags
Mm.
maybe that didn't make it in just because we ran out of space.
Oh,
But
okay.
We do a
we,
lot of self-editing, so there's a
yeah,
lot of pages that we wound up not using. Yeah.
yeah, there's much more gags than we could use. That
Hmm.
happens with everything. That's what everything, though. And we both try to hold on to him and bring him back again,
Hmm.
in something else. But with Flash Gordon, there was nothing we couldn't do, but we did too much that couldn't all fit in the book. So,
Oh,
that's really good then.
yeah, it's really funny, man. I just reread it because we're preparing for the next one,
mhm.
and I had to reread some of it because I'm juggling all these different projects, and once I finish a project, it kind of leaves my head, like, and I concentrate on these new characters for the new project. So I had to go back and read a lot. Man, it was really funny. It was really good, and I didn't remember it. Like when you go back and read it with fresh eyes or fresh brain, it was, man, it was cool. I think
Thanks,
people are
man.
gonna
You're
really
welcome.
dig it. Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
you-
yeah,
those those
yeah.
writers are good. Yeah,
Yeah, but
yeah,
both of you, we kind of have it. Make me and Carrie have this running joke that we think that you two are like somehow part cyborg because you're doing so much all the time, and I'm just
yeah.
like, how do they sleep?
It's
Like,
hard,
We don't.
man. Like,
Yeah, we
I,
don't.
no, I'm back. I was vampiring for a little while, and I don't know what happened, but the last 3 days I've been waking up at 4:30 in the morning and just working. And by 2 o'clock today, I was dying. I had to sleep today because I knew, like, damn, that interview's not till 7 o'clock. I gotta. So I slept for 2 hours, and but so I'm fresh right now. But but I squeeze more days out of the week that way. You know,
hmm.
when I go to bed when I'm tired and wake up when I'm done sleeping, eat when
Well,
I'm hungry, stuff like that. There's no time schedule.
well, I mean, that's the same way I felt like with Franco when you were teaching. I was like, how do you teach?
Yeah,
And you're doing all these books. You're going to cons. I was like, and you're a husband and a dad. I'm like, they're not human. I'm telling you, there's
yeah,
no way. Like the same thing. Like art was like, oh, I'm doing all these projects, and then I'm also a
yeah.
husband, the kids in school, and I'm just like,
Hmm.
I'm
Well,
like,
it's just I love this stuff, and the no sleep thing. I'll wake up in the middle of the night and I'll have you know um, my phone or a writing pad because I'll wake up with ideas and I'll write them down and stuff like that. But it's just all about juggling and priorities, and I
mhm,
love comics, so I'm constantly thinking, writing, putting stuff down on paper. So there's a way to get stuff done by just being in the moment with it.
Yeah, it's every day, every
Mm.
waking moment. I don't have anything I'm not thinking about besides, like, when's the next Star Wars show. That's about it.
yeah,
Like, I don't
December
know.
3rd, I think, right?
Yeah, the skeleton crew. Yeah, but I don't know if I say skeleton. I always pronounce things a little off. Skeleton crew, because I have
that's
Yeah,
a
all.
friend.
it's a
Yeah,
Star Wars show about Red Skelton, so you're
yeah, it's
good.
Red
Yeah.
Skeleton. Yeah, it's his son or something. But I always that's what I do, and I rewatch a lot of stuff, so I don't really watch a lot of new shows. I keep watching the same old shows, so when I draw, I could just breeze through my pages and just listen to Ahsoka like the fourth time through already,
Right.
and so I listen. I just watch stuff, but I listen to it, and so I don't know how we do this stuff either. And a lot of times we show up at a convention, we see each other at conventions, and it's even lately we don't we don't talk as much. We're both doing our own, real life stuff's happening. But when we catch up at a show, that's when we say, "Oh, what you been working on?" And then we don't know half the stuff, and we're
Right.
like giving each other exclusive interview. Like, "Whoa, wow, that's cool. What do you got?" And so Franco brings his iPad, shows me stuff, and I bring my sketchbook and show him stuff, and
Mhm.
it's different. It's I don't know how we do it either, but
Yep.
we don't see each other as only till shows, but we don't miss each other. It's like we're always talking too, always texting. Texting is the biggest thing now because we'll just text photos all night long, and he'll see all my photos in the morning, and then he'll,
Nice.
he'll tell me stop sending me these things, and then stuff like that. You know,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, there is a few times I check out of the group conversation, but yeah.
yeah, like
Mute.
so no one's gonna know about this.
Especially if I wake up in the morning and there's like 38 new messages and I'm like, yeah, I'm out of this conversation.
Yeah, and I always wonder how come nobody liked that post. You know, I know they all seen it.
Yeah. 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 No, I understand that because sometimes I'll just like call and message people or everything, and people are like, what? Are you okay? Why were you
Mhm.
calling it like
I was gonna say,
midnight?
what
Like
kind of
what?
psychopath are you? You're calling people? What's wrong
Yeah.
with you?
Oh yeah,
He calls me every day.
Really?
Like it's
That's
Just
it's
cool.
send a text,
yeah.
dude. People can read. Yeah.
No, because it doesn't wake me up. I'll be like, he's like, okay, so I'm driving. You're just gonna talk to me the whole time I'm on drive. I'm like, yeah, I'm sleeping. And sometimes if I start snoring, he'll let me go back to bed. But otherwise, he'll wake me up and I'll sit and talk with him for like an hour and then hang up. And then later on, when I actually really wake up, because I don't wake up until the afternoon, I vampire it. So,
Yeah,
but
that's my girl.
I still get like 10 hours in though. And they put me on steroids and I got 15 hours of sleep the first
Really?
time. Got a
oh yeah.
sinus thing going on. Yeah. So it's like, oh, you're going to wake up. I'm like,
Well,
yeah,
you're
sure.
tired because you're on
But,
steroids and you weightlifting
Yeah.
and you sleep now.
Hey, get all
Yeah.
jacked. You could be a jacked vampire.
No, yeah, but
Arr!
yeah, yeah. Art and Franco, I
But
sometimes feel like her friend. I feel more like her Renfield. Like just
Mm,
wake her up, like Master, awake, and she's just like,
mhm.
go
okay,
take
hold
your
on,
meds.
She
That's
exactly,
what
Feeds
we
you
need.
bugs,
I can see
occasionally.
that. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, we all need one of those guys, one of those
yeah.
Renfields.
But God, it's so crazy. It's just it's crazy.
I like the way Art just said, yeah, everyone needs one of those redheads. I like that.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah.
those red skeletons. Uh,
Mhm.
but
Skeletons.
skeletons. So speaking of Tiny Titans,
Yeah.
um, I just need to say
Or
I've read some of it, and then I reread all of it within the last 3 to 4 days. So
Oh
Oh,
boy.
cool.
yeah, it was a lot of all yes. Um, I, I,
If you're gonna start asking me questions about it, I'm not gonna remember any of it. But go ahead.
I
I,
know it all. I remember.
I'm going to do my best, Franco. How did one of the issues? How did Jeff Johns join you for that one issue? Because I was just like
Oh
reading.
yeah.
Jeff Johns is on there, and of course, has to do. Um, at that time, he was still with DC doing like Blackest Night, which you guys did reference, which
Hmm.
I loved. Blackest Night, all the Tiny Titans ended up with like the emotional core lantern rings, and
Hmm.
Stargirl showed up, and then even Jeff had his own little shop trading things for like gum.
Yeah,
Uh,
he had a pawn shop. Yeah.
yeah,
Mm.
did he? How did that come up? Did he reach out to you? Or did that
Oh,
just like you were all at a show and you're just like, hey, do you want to do this book list? And you're like,
yeah. I remember exactly because when we started Tiny Titans, we had Superboy on the cover of #1. We had
mm-hmm,
to take him off, and we couldn't use Superboy, and we had to wait. We had to wait for the legal and the business stuff, whatever. And once we got permission, uh, he was on the cover of number 25 of issue 25. And
mm-hmm,
around that time, we started. Yeah, we became friends with Jeff. We just worked with him. I worked with him. I think I don't know, just a few things. And so we said, wouldn't it be cool to have the Return of Superboy and then co-written by Jeff Johns? And then
Yeah.
he just told us, he goes, yeah, but we got to make all these rings because we could tie it into Black as Night and all this. I'm like, all
Hmm.
right, cool. And that's all. That's actually how it went. And
cool, man.
yeah, it was just real easy. And I can't remember if we asked him in person or wrote him an email or text or something. I can't
Mm-hmm,
remember how, but he just said, yeah. He said that'd
Yeah.
be fun because we wanted to bring back Superboy and make it a big deal.
mm-hmm,
Why he's on the team.
right.
And
I
then we
remember
used them every day. I mean,
remember
cool.
we wrote the issue in like an afternoon.
Yeah.
We were on
Wow.
the phone for like 2 hours or something like that. We
Yeah, it
wrote
was
the
a
whole
phone call.
issue. Yeah.
Yeah, we were just writing notes. He didn't even have to write anything. We just
Yeah,
all
because he
talked.
asked us, he goes, "Well, should we, should I send you notes?" I'm like, "No, let's just get on the phone and
Yeah,
we'll
Nice.
write everything down as we're talking." He goes, "I don't have to write anything down." I'm like, "No, you're good."
yeah, yeah,
So we just wrote everything down and then yeah, we did our thing.
yeah. It
Was
Carrie?
was
Booster
cool.
Gold in the issue?
No, he
Booster
was
Gold.
No
not.
Booster Gold?
No, Booster Gold.
Wow, that's
Surprisingly,
shocking.
Stargirl, all the lanterns, and
Yeah,
including the always adorable Chip.
yeah.
Always. Um,
It was
yeah.
Badge. Badge was the squirrel because that's when I found out that Chip got run over by a Sinestro school bus,
Yep.
and
It
then
was.
the ring left and found Badge, the
Yep.
squirrel from his planet. Yeah, because I
That was.
know at that time I was working with Super Pets at that time,
Hmm.
and somehow Jeff was with that too. I forgot how it went because that's how when I was working on Badge with Super Pets, he got involved too, and
Nice.
I feel
and
like he
they
was head of DC Creative for a while. You
yeah,
know?
and so
Yeah.
I remember working with Super Pets, and I couldn't use certain characters, but then I got approved. Like if with Super Pets, I would pitch a lot of story ideas, and then
Hmm.
they'd have to get approved. Like I remember working with Swamp Thing.
Right.
And they said, "All right, your Swamp Thing books, I can't do it." I'm like, "All right." And then 2 days later, "Oh yeah, you could do it. We could do it now." Like what? So stuff like that would happen with Super Pets. So,
Okay.
but I forget. I that was a while. It was like
Yeah. Yeah.
I ended up making like 50 books of Super Pets, and it was cool, man.
Good stuff,
50
man.
books Super Pets, 50 books of Tiny Titans.
Yeah,
Did they
man.
use any of your stuff in the movie, in that, Super
No,
Pet movie?
they didn't
No?
do that. I knew that they were making a movie because we were at a meeting. We were at something when we had a meeting, yeah, somewhere, and they said that they're going to make a Teen Titans cartoon. They wanted to make a Tiny Titans cartoon,
Right.
and then it ended up turning into Teen Titans Go.
Right.
And but at that time they said they were working with. They wanted to make Tiny Titans and a Super Pets cartoon. So it ended up where we made 5 episodes of Super Pet cartoons for Cartoon Network. They're each about a minute and a half long, and they're
Okay.
on YouTube. And there were our stories and my artwork and Warner Brothers Animation. So it was kind of cool. And they were doing that because they wanted to make a movie. And then when the movie got announced, um, I was real excited because I thought it was like they were going to continue. But then I heard The Rock was involved and Kevin Hart.
Yep.
Hmm.
Like, and I'm like, what are they gonna do? Like, when
Keanu
they,
Reeves.
yeah, I
Right.
thought Keanu was. I never still haven't seen the movie because it wasn't it wasn't adapted from my books. So I'm like, ah, it's not the. And I saw the trailer. I'm like, nah, it's not it. But like the first initial, like when they were talking about it, it went through a whole bunch of different animation studios. And
Hmm.
original, the Teen Titans Go studio was gonna make it, and then I was real excited about it because they actually had Robin in the cartoon,
Hmm.
and I thought that would be. Or I think he was just a picture on the wall, but he was in the cartoon. I'm like, oh, they get it. And then it went somewhere else, and then finally they said they settled on the animators who did that Scooby Doo Blue Falcon movie.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Yep, the
That's
Scoob
they said,
movie.
yeah, we're gonna use those guys, but they kept telling me that they used my style guide for the movies, and I'm like, wow, this is gonna be great, but it it went another way. So
Mhm.
I just learned that's what happens. Like they're not the characters don't belong. Like the Super Pets aren't mine. Tiny Titans aren't our characters, so they
Right.
can do what they want with them. But I'm just
No.
happy that we got to do all that stuff. A
Absolutely.
lot of stuff, yeah.
So, Carrie, I believe we had a question that was about their Flash Gordons, right? Did that
Oh,
come up?
character design, yep.
Yeah. So, who came up with the idea for a different looking Ming?
Oh, well, we had it was really weird because in the beginning, I think it was just both of us. Like I can't remember whose gag is whose. Like in the beginning, we like I said, it was going to be an adventure series, and then when they said they wanted Tiny Titan style, well, we
Mhm.
can't give them facial hair anymore. They can't
Yeah.
have beards because they're kind of
Yep.
like
I remember,
kids.
yeah, we had that discussion about the facial hair, so
Yeah.
we eventually, spoiler alert, we found a way around it, but yeah.
Looks
Yeah,
like he's eating some ice cream there. So
we build a beard machine so they can
Yeah.
all hit beards. Because everyone in Flash Gordon has beards. Zarkov has a beard. Everyone but Flash, pretty much. The Lion
Right.
Men had beards. The the Hawkmen had beards, and
Prince
we didn't want to
has a
use.
mustache. Yep.
Yeah, we didn't want to make anyone human, so we made the Hawkmen are actually chickens. They're hawks. They're birds. So
Mm.
and then the Lion Men are actually lions. Because I know in the in the serials what they did was they just everyone was a guy. It was just a dude, like your uncle's like, "Oh, you want to part in the movie?"
Yeah, the
You know?
Sharkmen have just like a swimming cap
Yeah,
on.
they got a
Those guys
scat.
are the Sharkmen. Yeah.
Yeah, and they got fins and they got spears and
Yeah.
caps and goggles. And like the lion guys were just hairy guys with beards and long hair. They're a bunch of hippies with hairy legs. And nobody wore pants. Everyone had little black shorts on. It was really it was
Yeah,
real weird.
it's warm in outer space.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
And
very
even
Edgar Rice Burroughs, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, and even the Rockmen had like paper mache rock helmets, like they had helmets that looked like rocks, but you could tell it's like paper mache. And I saw that and we were laughing at that. We're like, but I want to make everybody not a human. They're all going to be aliens, like animal like. So
Mhm.
for that, that could also like the cartoon had the Lion Man Thun, who was actually a lion, and the lizard women. Remember the lizard women in the cartoon? And I
Yeah,
remember the
really.
and a lot of the characters are based off the toys. I got all the action figures sitting behind on my shelf. I got the
Nice.
lizard woman, and there's a blue guy named Beast Man, and he looks like the He-Man Beast Man, but he's blue instead of orange. So he's in the book too. All of these things, all of these characters are in there. And
Wow.
yeah, but I love the serials, man. When they had
Yeah.
they had Thun the Lion Man, and he's a guy. He just had long hair. What do you need me, Flash? And he got a stick. They all had sticks and spears.
Good God.
Flash had a ray gun, but all these guys were more primitive, but they were just dudes. They're just guys.
Okay. Well,
I thought
everyone.
that was funny.
No, no,
Yeah.
definitely.
So Ted, did we answer the beard question? Yeah.
You uh, you did good. Yeah,
Hmm,
you
thanks.
answered everything and then some.
Yeah, like
Um,
yeah.
yeah. Well, so back to the Tiny Titans. And I will say, if I'm sorry, I need to say this. If you guys ever did like a little mini series about Lunch Lady Darkseid, I will 100% read that. Because anytime like that happened, like when he was principal for a day,
Yeah.
I have to like stop and laugh because especially what was it that line he says? Oh, it's time for your finals, but we don't end in here, but it will be a finals crisis. I'm like, I'm done,
Yeah.
Mm.
done.
Watergirl says such a crisis. Oh, it's a finals crisis.
Yeah, that. When I think Robin was fighting a penguin, it was like some character for the cowl, and he was like, "It's the battle for the cowl." I was like, I
Hmm.
can't. Like you guys just slipped in like DC events so well, nonchalantly. Like every once in a while, I was like, "Wait a second. I know I'm
And
speed reading through these, but
it was
what?"
funny because we read all of the we grew up reading Teen Titans and Jeff Johns' run on Teen Titans was awesome. And then after him was like Sean McKeever came on there for a little
Right.
while. And
Hmm.
then we got to know Sean McKeever and he became a friend of ours. So
Right.
every time one of his books came out, we made fun of it. So we took we took the Terror Titans and changed
Right.
them. He had a Teen
Yeah.
Titans East, he had all these different guys. And so he approached us at a show once. He goes, what do you guys do? Wait for my book and then you just take take whatever I make and like so
I'm like, yeah, it's a lot less work that way.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's current. We said it stays current, you know. So we
Right.
had the Terror Titans were in there. We just make up
But
guys.
yeah, I remember with Darkseid, we had a conversation about, we wanted to bring Darkseid in, but how do we do that? And I said,
Yeah,
the funniest thing to do would be take the most powerful character in the DC universe and just make him the funniest thing in the book. And then,
Right.
we just came up with a lunch lady Darkseid, and it made us laugh for like 3 minutes straight, which is
yeah,
like how we knew it was going to wind up in the book.
Mhm.
If you put Darkseid with a hairnet on,
yeah.
that
That's what it
explains
was.
everything. Yeah.
The hairnet and the spatula and the
Yeah.
apron, and that was
Well,
like what he looked like. And I remember when it was us because we had to ask for a lot of stuff, like because
mhm.
he's not really associated with Teen Titans. And I remember when we had to ask for Doctor Light because he killed the Ant Man's mom or something like that, and he
Yeah.
killed somebody.
Uh,
So
an
like,
identity crisis. Yeah.
yeah, so
Oh,
like,
Sue Dimby.
yeah, that was
Ralph,
just so.
Ralph's
So we
wife.
couldn't use him because he said he was too violent, and we're like, ah, we. But then he was in a cartoon for one episode, so that slipped in. We made him the science teacher. But with
Right.
Darkseid, we wanted to use him, and I remember talking. We were on the phone with Dan DiDio, and he says, okay, but you gotta send me the drawings before you send him in because he's got to look like he does in the DC universe. And I go, what do you want him to look like? And I remember him telling me, draw him like J.G. Jones. Like, really? Like, so I looked at a J.G. Jones drawing and then I drew him and I said, how about this? He went perfect.
Well,
That's what I remember. That was the conversation. I don't know if he was just messing with me, but that's what really happened.
that's amazing. Because, like I said, the more I read, because you had Slade, Deathstroke was the principal. Yeah,
Yeah.
Doctor was a science teacher. Lobo was the gym teacher.
Yeah. Lobo, Coach Lobo.
Coach Lobo. I was like, oh my god, the exercise around the world.
And
Um,
I remember too there was a gag where they had to take gym class at the Fortress of Solitude and General Zod was the gym coach because he said kneel up down kneel up down. I remember that, and they were touching their toes. I remember that too.
oh my god, no,
Coach
it's
Lobo was awesome.
yeah, like you guys just like the adults were just so fucking funny.
Yeah,
But I think for me, it was when it, another one was when Slade and Trigun were playing hooky for the day. So they get the kids out. They're
yeah,
at, at a baseball game, and I'm like looking at the thing, and I forget. I think it was Trigun was acting a fool at the game, and I think Raven was talking to like a dad and son that were sitting there, and
yeah,
I was like, wait a second. I was like, is that Reed Richards
yeah,
and Franklin? I was like,
yeah. That was them.
what the hell? Like,
The little kid had a 4 on his shirt. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I,
We were
yeah,
friends with Chris Eliopoulos, and
Hmm.
he wound up putting something in the Franklin Richards book.
Yeah. He wanted
It was
to. He approached us. He said we should do a crossover.
right.
And I remember saying, "Let's do a crossover. No one even notices until it comes out. The book comes out." So in the Franklin Richards book, there's a splash page where he opens a door and a bunch of characters come running out, and you see the top of Robin's head, and you see our character Patrick the Wolf Boy's in it too.
Yeah.
And
nice.
then around that same time, that same month, we put
Right.
Fantastic, Mr.
Yeah.
Fantastic,
Well,
and
in
then
Franklin Richards. Yeah.
yeah, a few
That's like
issues
Rick and
later,
Morty and
yeah.
Gravity Falls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's connected though. So Tiny Titans
Th-
is connected to the Marvel
There was
universe.
there was
Yeah.
a few issues later where
Yeah.
we put them back in,
Yeah.
and we got a call from our editor and
Yeah.
saying you can't do that. We're like, what are
oh,
you talking about? And she goes, well, I let it slide the first time. And we're
Yeah.
like, oh, you noticed that? She goes, well, how can I not notice it? There's a big 4
There's
on his
4.
shirt.
And
I'm like,
Reed's
oh
arm
yeah.
was real long. His arm was real long on the
So
ground.
our editor was real cool. She let it slide the first time, but she's like, yeah, you can't do it again.
Yeah,
So
she even says, "I know you're friends with Chris Eliopoulos." So I'm like,
mm,
"All right." Yeah.
you, you had that Family Guy Spider-Man moment. Like everybody gets one. You're
Yeah.
like, apparently everybody gets one. Okay, well that's good. That's good to know.
And
Uh,
there's these characters I created too, these aliens, these green aliens that I
mhm,
put in every book that I work on, every universes. So they're the one consistent character that's in all of my books. They were in Tiny Titans, they were in Super Pets, they were in Itty Bitty Hellboy, they were
right.
in my own characters. So these one characters, these green aliens are they could go to everywhere. So I'm making like a who's who
so all the
book about the
universes are
yeah,
connected. Yeah.
everything me and Franco work on is connected to each other, so they could all possibly meet. They just didn't yet. They just Hellboy didn't meet Robin yet, but he will. He
Oh
can't.
boy, that's a
He met Batman.
that's
Did he?
another
Yeah, it's true.
crisis waiting to happen.
Hmm.
Uh, oh boy. Uh, Carrie, Justin, do you guys have anything? I feel like I'm asking all the questions.
You had a
Yeah,
question.
I got a DC question for you. Are there any
Go.
characters that you found in DC that you just couldn't do anything with? You're like, what am I gonna do with like Arkillo? I just can't even. This guy's a lump. Like anyone in that you've run across that you just can't do anything with.
No,
No.
no,
That's good then. Yeah.
no. I
No.
worked on it. I
You
drew
you
all
name
of
it,
them.
we can do something with it.
Yeah. Like
That's
I
true.
drew for Super Pets, they gave me a list of 330 characters to draw and to redesign, make 'em my own style guide, And then I drew all everyone was in there, and then I drew all their pets, and so more than half the pets I created them, but then DC Comics and Warner Brothers gave them the name.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
so it's pretty nuts. Um, whenever we put we even put the monitor and the anti-monitor and
Yes.
Tiny Titans, like you wouldn't think, what are you gonna do with the monitor? But we found a way.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
I
cool.
think it
That
was
was
the hall
pretty.
monitor, right?
Yeah, that was pretty easy. They were
Yeah.
home monitors. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
No, that was also another great moment. Where's your hall pass? Oh, I'm going to let you go. Why?
Yeah.
He's the monitor. I'm the anti-monitor.
Yeah.
Everything he does is the opposite. I was like, I can't.
I remember in Superman Family, we created a character called who was the negative Superman, and when
Mhm.
when he secret identity was Clark Kent because he's negative, and so
That's
when
a good
he
one.
went to the Daily Planet and Lois says, "Come on, Clark, we have to go," and he goes, "No, I'm not going. Why
James.
not? I'm not gonna do it." It's like,
I
man, you're
can't.
so negative. That's who I am. And he's like, "What the?" So that whole issue was cool because he was just black and white, and I think his skin was a little gray because he was just negative guy. I think it was real fun.
Yeah. It's funny because there was another moment that I remembered. I think it was the Penguins pretending to be Batman because I
Oh
remember
yeah.
seen that, and then I remember the story that our mutual friend Mark Hammond told me. I believe it was Rob that Arthur Adams was a fan of the book,
Oh
and
yeah.
that him and
Yeah.
his sister
Yeah.
loved that. And I think they spent like a whole convention just squawk.
Yeah.
I went. I was at a convention. I forget where. I think it was Chicago, but
Yeah. Chicago. Yeah.
I can't remember. And I'm a huge Arthur Adams fan. I love his artwork, and I wanted to meet him. And I went to the table, and I was a little bit nervous, starstruck, because I just love his artwork so much. And I said, I introduced myself, and he goes, "Oh," he goes, "I know that book. Yeah, Tiny Titans. Hold on a second." And he knocks on his table. And I'm like, well, all right, what is this guy doing? And then he knocks on his table, and his daughter comes out from underneath the table. She was like under there drawing,
Hmm.
just hanging out under his table. And he said, "This is the guy that does our favorite book." And
Hmm.
then
What?
they started squonking like the penguins because he told me that was their favorite part because he would read it to her. My brains blew out the back of my skull at that
Hmm.
point because I was like, "Whoa, this is like the coolest thing ever." So yeah, so
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
the whole convention they were squonking. That was
Yeah,
cool.
and then you came back, I remember, and told me Arthur Adams over there. I'm like, really? Then I went over there, and the same exact thing happened. He's like, "Hey," and then I remember I gave him some drawings. I gave him some Robin and some Tiny Titans drawings, and
Mhm.
but he didn't tell me that the daughter was there. He just said Arthur Adams was there, and the same thing happened. And I told him, "Hey, look, this is what happened when I went." He goes, "Yeah, I know what happened to me too." Like, what the heck? And I gave him drawings, and Art Adams gave me his sketchbook with their
Sketchbook,
mermaids in
yeah.
it.
I've got a
Yeah, and he
sketchbook of
signed
Tiny
it.
Oh,
Titans.
yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Yeah.
cool. We traded, and I said, told him, "Man, I really want one of your commissions, but I gotta what it costs to buy one. I'm gonna probably, hopefully, I can make that much at the show." And he goes, "No, man, just take a book." I'm like, "All right, cool, thanks."
There you go.
Yeah,
But
and
Who'd
yeah.
you get?
that
Who'd you
same
have him do?
show was, yeah, gotta do it, yeah. But that same show every morning, we had at the corner table right on the corner of the aisle. And
Mhm.
so Art Adams and Chris Claremont would stand right by our table every morning with their coffee. And I wanted to get to the table early so I could just sit there and listen to them. And they were just talking about like, "Hey, did you see the game last night? Yeah, blah blah blah. What'd you have for dinner?" That was just regular, just two regular guys talking. And
Mhm.
man, that was cool. And it ended up we both were eavesdropping. But then my other friends started gathering, like, "Are you seeing what's happening?" And I go, "Yeah, they'll be back tomorrow at 8:30 tomorrow morning." So gather around. So that was real cool.
Uh, that I sympathize with that because I'm basically like that with Carrie and others when we're at a con. I'm just pointing out things, and she just, oh, cool, nice. Just nonchalant. I was like, oh, that's it. And I was like, that's great, Drew. I'm glad that you're excited about that. Like, I have no idea who the fuck that is. Like, wonderful. Like, she's very nice about it, but she's just like, this is why you were on the show. You know this.
She was
I.
probably asleep and you were on the phone. That's what it was.
Yeah,
That's,
she's
that's
still
pretty.
recovering from vampiring. Yeah.
Um, Especially, I think whenever we're at cons, it's not much a hi, let's walk together as friends. It's more like I'm gonna go this way, and Carrie's like, oh god, he's gonna drag me with me. Like I feel so bad, Carrie, every time because yeah.
Mhm.
That's why my wife doesn't come with me to
She's
C2E2 on Friday, because I stop at every table in Artist Alley.
Mhm.
And she married you,
oh
so she knew what getting into.
he
Yeah.
doesn't stop. He just grabs, and I have a purse that this is my purse. It weighs about 8 pounds, and it has a long handle, and I'm short, and I am knocking people's shins out because he's just pulling me through the show, and it's dragging behind. I try to put it so it's behind me and just beating my back, but
Mhm.
it's just whack, and yeah, I'm just
If you
injuring people as I
if you
go.
wanna slow him down one day, you cosplay. So you could stop every 5 feet to pick people, take pictures. And then he has to wait for you, you know?
Oh, I have a
Art,
cosplay I'm working on for next year, so I'm like, yeah.
Art,
Yeah.
what are you doing, man? Why are you blowing up my spot? Like, come
I
on,
know.
man.
I know
I,
how it is, man. You
no,
know,
I thought we were good. Why are you doing this? Why? Come
I'm harshing your mellow.
Because it's fun.
Yeah.
on. But no, I mean, like I said, the Tiny Titans just like 50 books, man. I mean, I feel like you could have just kept writing for like 50
Yeah.
more.
Yeah,
Um,
we could've, yeah.
We
yeah,
would have.
and then it would come back to like Return to the Treehouse.
Yeah.
Even Titans Go to the Library. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like it's literally the gift that just keeps on giving. I mean, is it? I just imagine you guys would just text like what was it? Art would just be up like, "Hey, I have this idea," and Frank was like, "I have coffee," and then I will
Yeah.
read the idea. So is that just kind of how it happens? You have an idea and like, hey, and you're like, all right, cool, let's bang this
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
usually, if we don't talk in a while, Franco will just say, "Hey, you wanna talk?" Or I'll do like, "Hey, you're around, wanna talk?" And just chat. I haven't heard from you for a little
Yeah.
while. And we end just catching up, personal stuff, family stuff, just whatever we're doing. And
Mhm.
then we end up coming up with an idea. And that's how fast it goes. And
Right.
uh and um we don't really pitch as much as, well, maybe we do. We do it all. But I get more gigs by people approaching me with something
Mm.
versus me trying to pitch. Like for Flash Gordon, like instant, like we were approached, and like for Tiny Titans, I got a phone call and I was approached again. So like a lot of the stuff doesn't happen with a pitch, but so when we're on the phone, we're like, "Hey man, these guys are asking Flash Gordon," and then we just start writing it. And that's what happened with Itty
Yeah.
Bitty Hellboy. We just started writing it, and
Oh my God. Yeah.
it just happens. Like, I don't know, and we slip into that mode so easily. We
Hmm.
don't have to struggle. Like, I never get writer's block. I don't even know what writer's block is. Like, I have no, it's maybe a block you write on. That's all I can think of.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's
Like,
it.
I don't
Yeah.
know what it is because I never have it. Um, I write every day, and if I don't have an idea, I just start sketching, and an idea happens. So I don't,
Oh yeah,
There
I
I've
you
don't
got
go.
know.
mine
Like,
behind me. Yep.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So
That's
I
me.
like,
You don't
I
got to
got,
tell me itty bitty Hellboy art. I'm already in on that one.
oh
Like,
yeah.
yeah,
We
man.
wrote a we wrote it we started writing a volume 3, but it
Oh,
never happened. Like, I
I would
remember the
love that.
first gag was tomatoes. We were doing tomato gag. I forgot what it was. The Baba Yaga was picking tomatoes and Hellboy showed up or something.
You
Oh
Yeah, I
God.
forgot what it was. There was a garden or something.
Maybe
But
one day.
yeah, he was
I
making ketchup with his fist, I think, smashing tomatoes. Something like that was happening. I can't
that,
remember.
um.
And there it is. He got the big fist, the fist of doom.
Pulled it out just for this occasion. So
Yeah.
Um, I never heard this one. How did you guys meet? Like, did you just run into each other at some point and were just like, hey, you're cool.
Did you,
Want to write comics together? Sure. Let's go
did
get,
your eyes cross across the Florida convention and just
know.
Should we tell him
It
the
was
legendary? Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
you want the real story or the made up one? Because we used to make up a story every time.
oh,
Like
like
Mm.
the Joker.
at
Yeah.
every convention we would make up a different story. But the real one is I was at a convention, one of these really bargain basement, hotel conventions.
right.
It was in the middle of I don't know, Massachusetts. I don't even remember, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, somewhere in
Yeah,
there.
something like that.
Granite
And
State.
and there was nobody attending this show. There were like maybe three people walking around, and I was set up, and there was this one guy. He was reading everything at my table, and back then, we did our own books, like we hadn't met yet. So everything I did in my book, I wrote, I edited, I inked, everything. So
Right.
there were bound to be mistakes, and the guy was reading my book and telling me everything I did wrong in my books, and trying to be nice at first and saying, "Oh yeah, when you're doing it yourself, you miss this or that." And then after about a half an hour or so, I kind of lost my patience,
Mm.
and he goes, "Oh, you missed a word here," and I grabbed the book out of his hand. I'm like, "You know what? If you don't like my books, just don't read them. It's just that simple." And right at that moment, Art walked by, and he goes, "Hey, you sell a lot of books that way?" And I'm like, "Who the who the hell are you, dude?"
That's a nice
And
tactic
then
you got there.
yeah, and then he sat down at the table next to me and set up, and I'm like, "Ah, this is gonna be great.
And
We're
then
gonna have
a
to
few
spend
minutes
the
later, I
entire
said,
yeah,
"Can I
we're gonna
look
have
at
to
your
spend the
books?"
ho the whole weekend dealing with
Yeah.
this idiot now because he just,
Mm.
So yeah, then like a few minutes later, he's like, "Hey, can I read your book?" And I'm like, now you're just rubbing it in." But
Mhm.
yeah, that's
Then
basically
we
how
end
we
up
met.
I ended up reading his books, and I said, "These are cool. You want to trade?" And we end up trading. I think we traded 3 of his, 3 of mine, and that was it.
Yep.
And then we didn't hang out too much that weekend, but just at the show, and then we would go to dinner with our friends or whatever. But then while we're talking there, it turns out I only lived 20 minutes from his house at the time.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
he was in New York and I was in Connecticut. So it was like there was there was a mall that separated us. So
Yep.
we were like 20 minutes from each other. And I never knew that, but we had to drive 6 hours to meet each other. But but 6 hours another way. But
Yeah.
then I just started going to his house for
I'm like, "Yeah,
pizza,
you wanna come
wrestling.
over? Yeah,
Yeah,
watch wrestling, have pizza,
yeah,
Standing at
and
the window.
A
yeah,
good Connecticut
yeah.
pizza, by the way.
Plus
yeah,
yeah, they had pizza. His family had a restaurant.
restaurant,
So
yeah."
plus I was real poor. I was so poor back then.
Well, you
Um,
said you lived in Connecticut, I assumed, because that's where I
yeah,
was from.
yeah, yeah.
So
Oh, cool. Yeah. But I was like, I had no
Berlin
money,
Turnpike.
no food, so I would go to his house and eat. It was good, and then we watch wrestling. But I bring a sketchbook, and drawings, and then just sitting there and drawing and watching Chris Benoit and all this stuff, and or who's that other guy, the Lion Tamer,
Chris
Chris
Jericho,
Chris Jericho, thinking
Yeah.
him
my
and
favorite
Sting,
wrestler.
WCW. We were watching on WCW,
Mhm.
Lex Luger, all these guys. So I started drawing this little face in my sketchbook,
Well,
and
first we did
yeah,
the crossover. We did the
yeah, we
Weird
did,
Al Crybaby crossover, yeah. He
yeah,
said, "Hey, wanna cross over our characters?" We're like, "Yeah, that'd be cool."
yeah, and
So
we
we did
did
that.
that. We started co-publishing our books because at the time I was publishing books, he was publishing books, and we co-published. We teamed up our guys,
Hmm.
and then one day I was doodling a face, I thought he was a vampire boy, and I named him Patrick the Vampire Boy, and then I started tweaking him, making more stuff, and the faces made us laugh, and then we just started coming up with ideas and stories for this little character. But then while we're doing it, we're like, I drew him fuzzy and like, oh, let's turn him into Wolf Boy instead. That would be more fun.
Mhm.
Um, and then that was it pretty much.
Yeah, we did about 20 issues of that
Yeah,
as well,
yeah,
right? Yeah.
yeah, we did. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, it
Um,
was pretty cool. So that's what like Wolf Boy books. We brought them to conventions and started selling them and drawing people for $1 and making fun of all the guys and make fun of the guys and make the girls cute. That's what my drawings. And then uh, we caught the eye of some DC editors, and that was it. They said,
Yeah.
and that was the phone call. Can you draw some DC Comics books for us, but draw them in like Patrick the Wolf Boy, but make them for us? And I'm like, sure. And that was yeah, that's how it starts, man. It was very. I don't want to say it was easy, but it was very like we didn't have to try. I didn't have to sit in offices and pitches. Like everything just happened, and
Yeah.
it was kind of cool.
Basically,
Yeah,
when we stopped pitching, that's when they came looking for us.
yeah,
But yeah.
yeah. When
Hey,
I pitched, I would get like they tear you a new one. I have many ones that are tore open and I had to send home. Like so many times I had to call
I
my
have
mom
many
crying.
torn ones, yeah.
Torn one. They were torn open. and like it's hard to close them without stitching them. But
Uh,
then I had to call my mom all the time and say, "Why you call me once a month?" And I'm crying because these guys are telling me that I can't draw and stuff. So
I got torn again. Yeah.
I got torn open again. And then once we stopped and we just published our own damn comic, and when Wolf Boy was going to be the Swan Song, that was going to be the one book that we made, and I was going to go back to Chicago and do all these things and just forget it. I don't know what I was going to do. Is go work at the grocery store or something. And then it sold a
Well,
whole
that
bunch of
was
copies, and we kept
yeah. That's
going.
because we were submitting it to Diamond, and Diamond basically we submitted Patrick, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to carry your books anymore.
No, we didn't submit
Or
Patrick. It was
oh,
submitted
that's right, we
before.
didn't submit.
Yeah,
We
submitted all
were
our other stuff.
Yeah, they told us that we weren't going to do because we were developing Patrick. We were going to get ready to do that. We
Yeah,
we
we're
had
gonna do it
solicited we
without
had solicited
distributor.
something else, and they're like, no, we're not going to carry any of your books,
Yeah,
and we're like, oh great, now our only way of getting these things distributed is gone. What are we going to do?
yeah,
And we said, oh, let's just do a last couple books and then just be done with it. And but they started selling at conventions, and
yeah,
and then and then it wound up. Somebody from Diamond Comics somewhere at a show, I think it was in Florida, bought one of the Patrick books and then put it in the catalog
yeah,
Oh,
without
so you got a
without our
card number
our
in there.
knowing it. Yeah, because the thing that Art and I did was if you read any of the Patrick the Wolf Boy books, if you read the credits page, there's a whole bunch of people listed, like an editor, inker, and all that other stuff. And we made all those people up.
There was 13 people on our staff, and
Yeah,
it was
so
only me
so
and him and
it was just me and him.
11
So
other
like
people. Yeah,
when I called Diamond and I'm like, "How did this book wind up in your catalog?" And they're like, "Oh, someone from your company sent it." And I'm like, "Who sent it to you?" And they're like, "Oh, Tacky Beckett." And I'm like, "Oh, that's BS because
yeah.
we made up Tacky Beckett. There
She's
is no Tacky
she's
Beckett."
our
So
assistant inker. Yeah,
yeah, so so they purchased it and put it in there. So, Art's like, well, what are we gonna do now? And I'm like, you know what? They canceled us, dude. So you know
yeah,
what? When the orders come in, we're not even gonna fill them. Screw that. This way they'll have to be, they'll have to answer the question as what happened to this book,
yeah.
But then that didn't work out because when the orders came in, they were really good.
Yeah, like the last book I made my book Yogs right now. I'm redid Yogs 30 years later, but Yogs was the book I solicited to them, and I only sold 158 copies. I remember that worldwide distribution, and so then they canceled after that, and then Wolf Boy came back and the orders were 4,000.
Yeah,
I'm
thousands.
like, what
Nice.
Yeah,
the heck? How
Oh,
does
yeah,
I had no
hell
idea
yeah.
how that happened, and that just then we were mad. We're like, screw these guys,
yeah.
they canceled us,
Art's
and
like, we're not gonna fill these, right? And I'm like, well,
then we did the
yeah,
math and like,
maybe
well,
we should.
here's what we're gonna make. We're like, oh,
Yeah,
I could pay rent, and I'm real
yeah.
poor at that time. So then we end
For,
up.
wow,
Then we're
for
like, what should we?
perspective, the
Yeah,
first Ninja Turtles book was originally 3,000 copies.
yeah,
So 4,000 out of the gate.
yeah.
Yeah.
In the year 2000, yeah, September 2000, I think it came out,
Wow.
and and then we're like, what should we do next? Like,
Yeah.
we should make another one. So
Well,
that's
yeah,
what we
it
did.
was basically 4,000 copies for a book that we didn't even submit or solicit.
Yeah,
It just wound up in the book. And
yeah,
then we realized that, all of our other books, the Cray Babies and Weirdsville, we would do number 1, number 2, number 3, and
yeah.
we had a discussion. And I said, you know what we should do is we should not put numbers on
Because we
them.
see a decline in sale. Like number one
Yeah,
does great, number two not as good, number three like almost nothing.
yeah,
So we're like, man, there's a pattern here. Like that's why number one, just make number one. So yeah, with Patrick's there were no numbers on the books.
yeah.
We just
It
put
was
out
just different
specials.
specials. Yeah,
Yeah, Christmas special, Halloween special, Father's Day
yeah,
special, Mother's Day special, Valentine's special. Yeah, the only thing we had to get it out by the holiday.
yeah,
That's the only thing. So if we solicit Valentine's, and we liked Halloween because it's the end of the month. We still got that month to work on it. But Valentine's Day was rough because we only had 13 days before the holiday hits.
yeah,
Like, oh, we got to get this done in January, man. But yeah, that's how we got
yeah,
around that. And the orders, the numbers were consistent.
yeah,
They might have went down a bit, but not much. Not like number one number. That's why number three is always the rarest book because nobody wants it. By the time number three shows up at stores, um, or by the time they order number 3, they're just getting number 1 or something like that, or number 4 is the one that drops
Yeah.
off that kills the series or something.
Maybe
So
that's why you put the first appearances in either 3 or 4.
yeah,
That's
first
probably
appearance.
why.
Yeah, and then one of them's rare. And number 2 is always hard to find. Number 2 and I think number 3. Like when I did my original run of the Crybaby Adventures, I ran out of issue 3 right away. And it's hard. And I had to actually buy a copy of 'em for myself because I didn't have one. It's like, man, I can't find it. It's gone. So I had to buy one. Once in a while, I have to do that. I keep selling the books and I forget to save one for myself.
Could you reprint them if you wanted to, if you have the masters?
Yeah, my own
Yeah.
creations. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I could. Everything I have is scanned it in the computer now, saved. Yeah, every book I ever worked on, and we were uploading to Comixology for a long time too. Um, for years, like uh, Comixology was awesome, and before it went to Amazon, and we
Yeah.
had, I think we had 83 books up there, 87 books. There were 25 or 26 titles, and we took all our old stuff. I scanned it all and put it up digitally, and I was consistently getting downloads every month for Comixology. It was really cool. And then once it went to Amazon, bang, I get 0 downloads. Nobody cares. So that that made us print our own books. Started printing our own books, and now our websites we print our own books and do books like we did with Patrick. We just do them directly just for our websites and for conventions.
Mhm.
I don't even try to distribute them because it costs too much to print and distribute, and everyone has to get half and all this stuff. And if we made a book now, it'd have to be like $15 cover price, but and to make any money, you know,
Gee,
because like
wow.
half of that's 7 and half of that's 3, and then we're getting paid $3 for a book that costs around $3 to make. So like, nah, it's like not even a bother. It's not,
Jeez.
and we're not worth bothering. So we just print a book and then we bring it to shows and sell it directly to you guys, and like we make the whole $2 profit instead of having to split it with everybody. So that's what we've been doing. I've been doing that since 2022 or 2021. Since Comixology went to Amazon, I've been doing that.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Wow.
we've both been. And right now, I on my website, I have all the books I print on my own, and they're all up there. And it's cool, man. It's very free. It's got freedom, and like this is another thing. Like, uh, we have all these awesome characters, and I must have about 400 characters. I know it because I'm making a Who's Who book. I got 11 books. There's 40 pages. There's 40 characters in times 11. So it's 44 characters are in these books. So um, instead of pitching them to people and just getting that rejection, getting your heart broken again and calling your mom all over again, I just print them myself. This way there's no rejection. Nobody can tell me I can't what I can't do. So
Mhm.
that's what we've been doing, man. It feels really good. And I think that builds confidence like I got the gig with a Cat in a Hat, and when the Cat in the Hat people first approached me, Dr. Seuss, and they asked me if I was interested in making these comics, and I said, "Do I have to draw like Dr. Seuss?" And they said, "No." Like, "Oh, good." I said, "Do I have to rhyme?" And they said, "No." I said, "Oh, good." I said,
Even better.
and I said, "What do I do?" And the Dr. Seuss said, "Make Cat in the Hat comic books the way you make comic books." And I'm like, "Oh, that's even better." So
Nice.
and they're real funny, man. I got like 3 pages or 4 pages away from finishing book 2 right here. I got here, and
Mhm.
it'll be done before Thursday for sure. And but that stuff, I mean, I was getting to where I think that stuff, like when they read or create our own stuff that we don't have an editor for, um, they read that and says, "Wow, this is good, even without guidance or like with rules. These books are still good." So I
Mhm.
think that's what gives other publishers confidence that they read they read my Giro Man book or something like that, and they're like, "Wow, this is a really silly book, but it's still funny." So I
Yeah.
know he's going to do a good job with something like Flash Gordon. We know it in like Cat in a Hat, and like um, it's so fun. And to me, a lot of this stuff, like either it's create our own creators, or legacy characters and historical character, whatever we're working on, it all feels the same. Like Cat and Hat feels like I'm writing Super Pets or or Flash Gordon. It all feels the same. It
Yeah.
doesn't like one project's not different from the next. You know
Cool.
what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, nothing throws a monkey wrench. There's no monkey wrenches. Even though I like monkeys, I'm okay with wrenches, but I like monkeys more.
Oh,
But there's no
I've
monkey wrench.
I've read the books about characters turning into chimpanzees and such. I
Oh yeah.
understand.
And I
You
always like we always like to put monkeys or Sasquatches in all of our books too. Yeah.
oh,
So,
uh,
So-
so what about something like Kid Cthulhu? You ever think of going all
Mm,
Lovecraftian, itty bitty type of thing?
oh God.
maybe our buddy Scoot does that right now. He's got a little Cthulhu book.
Oh boy.
Or-
Um,
there's a cute cat Cthulhu one that I saw, or Cthulhu cat, but I have
Mm.
Cthulhu.
the, listen, there's so much there. Um, so someone just asked, where are good places for people to self-publish?
Um, there's been a
Online.
lot of a lot of
Yeah.
low print run guys popping up all over the place.
Mhm.
We use Comic Wellsprings. That's what we've been using. But it all depends on how much money you want to spend. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
Because
Just do
they're
your
getting
research. There's a lot of stuff out there you can just look up and stuff. Yeah.
if you do self publishing and search it, and you'll find a lot of low comic book run printers,
Okay.
and most of them are in the U.S. too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Makes it easier. Yeah.
yeah, it's
You-
cool. I just like it making. We use several different printers, but
and
depending on
plus,
what we're doing.
you could always do what Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird did. They had that low print run of their original Turtles, and now those issues like what, thousands of millions of dollars, right?
Yeah,
The last graded one that I saw Steve Levine had, which was like a 9.4, was 140,000 CGC graded 9.4. First print.
wow,
Cool.
So
that's great. Wow.
get that low print. Um, yeah.
Wow.
Wow,
It's his
wow,
birthday today, actually. It's Owen
wow,
Wilson's birthday.
Oh wow, that's
wow, wow,
fantastic. Uh,
wow.
You know what? I will take that meatloaf.
um, I that's what I had is I didn't realize this, but reading the book that you had people dressing up like Tiny Titans, like kids and
Yeah,
stuff. So what's that like seeing, children or maybe even their parents joining in, which I would love to see a family duo of stuff. What's that like when you're at a con and kids are dressed up like the characters and they'll send the fan mail and crayon and stuff.
yeah.
How's that like? Not just for Titans
hmm
thing you've done.
It's
What
pretty amazing when like I had a kid dress up like Drew from my Drew and Jock comic, and
Mhm.
uh, and it's cool when they dress up as your own character. We had a few Wolf Boys. We have a few, and it's awesome, man. And it's like I know Franco probably feels the same way. Like we sit at home drawing all the time, and I don't see the effects of the comics until we go out in public or go to the con, you know,
Mhm.
or people wait in line to meet us, and that's when it when we feel it. And a lot of people who read Tiny Titans are like college now, and a lot of people before that I was drawing Gorilla comics for Disney, and I
Mhm.
meet those guys, and every time I meet a Gorilla kid, they're adult now, they end up crying. I don't know what it is, but they cry in front of me. And so then it gets me all weepy. And then, but that's starting to happen with Tiny Titans kids because they're getting older now and they're like, oh my God, I had these books when I was a kid. And then they start crying. So that's mostly what happens. What's the
Yeah.
hardest or the coolest thing? Yeah.
It's a big impact. I've had a lot of people tell me that, they learned how to read with Tiny Titans, which is always like very impactful. That gets to me. People that have, you know, been impacted in different ways. Like, I did a book with Sarah Richard called The Ghosty Owl, and I had a woman come up to me in one of the conventions talking about she had lost her son and how it impacted her, and like it was like a gut punch for me. I was like, like you don't think about how what you're doing here in my studio like will affect people out in the world. It's really just mind blowing. The thing those get me. Stories like that get me. When people come up with my artwork tattooed on their body is
Yeah.
another thing. That's
Yeah.
like, I had this one guy, like, you get that feeling like you're being watched, and he was on the outskirts of the crowd, and I felt like I was being watched because he kept looking at me, and then he finally came up to me, and I'm like, oh, this is the moment where I die, um, because
Well, I
because
had a good run.
he came up to me and he goes, I've been trying to work up the nerve to to show you this, and I'm like, oh god.
Okay.
And then he lifted up his shirt, his sleeve, and his entire arm was this little vampire character that I would draw, and I was like, oh my god, why would you do that?
Mhm.
But it means a lot to them. It means something to them, and that's
Mhm.
why they did it. And it's a really really cool feeling. I feel like I have like a big responsibility when I'm doing some of this stuff. Even though I'm doing it for fun, it's
Mhm.
someone's first comic, or it's a story that's going to impact somebody, or
Mm.
artwork is going to impact somebody. So it's cool.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Like I'm making my third book right now, Yog's book 3, and I always I always want to make the kids cry. I want to make them feel something like what Up went in the movie Up. You're crying the
Mhm.
first 7 minutes, and you're crying, and
Yeah.
the movie just barely started. But
Oh yeah.
people don't always, or I don't see a lot of books, especially cartoony, like doing that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
So my Yogg's book 3, like I started writing this story, and I'm like, all right, I know what the ending's gonna be, and I wrote the ending. I was at a show, and a hurting show, nobody was there, Tumbleweed Con, and I'm sitting there because you see the tumbleweed go by, and so I'm sitting there with my buddy Daryl Young. I go, hey man,
Hey, I know
uh,
Dino.
I was like, I went over and told him and read him the story, and then he started crying, and he goes, "Don't change it. That's a good ending." So I'm real curious of what people are going to think when they read this, because most of my comics are just funny. They
Right.
don't have that emotional push. And
Mm.
we had we had a story with Superman family that we wrote, that it was a death of Superman story where he dies, and
Mm.
but we never got to make it, and I was like, oh, we didn't get there. But it was where uh he dies. It was the same thing like with Doomsday, but Lois was holding Superman, and
Mm.
she's crying, and everybody had, it was a sad moment, and then you see his eyes open. Lois, are you crying? He's like, what? You're alive. And then he goes, I'm Superman. I can't die. And he's like, and that was it. But it was a moment where like he was dead. But we didn't get to do that. So we actually put that in Grimace Island in our issue 4, where he fought the bad guy, and same scene, but it was
Cool.
instead of Lois, it was the volcano goddess. So it was pretty cool. And she held him and she screamed, "Nah!" Like belt like Superman did in the movie. No, rah 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 rah, and he flew away. But she did something like that. So that was cool.
And he turned back time by reversing
Yeah.
the rotation of the Earth. Yep.
So-
And then in our comic, is little Grimace only speaks Spanish. So when you see her crying, he goes, "Mi amor." And well, what? You're alive? So I thought that was pretty cool. So that was actually a Superman story, but we changed it up, put it in our Grimace book.
All
Yeah.
right. Wow. Thank you guys. That is amazing. But no, I mean, and I say that as as someone who's met you repeatedly, and Franco, I've told you that me and my partner Angie, we have that we had that long-standing tradition. Anytime we saw Franco at a show, our cosplay wasn't official unless we put some greenbacks in Franco's hand, and he drew something, and like I'm literally looking at it because it's like became this growing art wall in our apartment, and I'm just looking at it right now, and I'm just like, yep, that's Franco. It's Franco. There's art too over there, So you know, just keep doing what you're doing, guys.
Awesome.
You're
Thank you.
doing good. Not like you needed permission from me. Like you're
Yeah, we were gonna
uh,
keep doing it whether you decided we should or not.
all right,
I
cool.
was I was
And
actually gonna stop today.
There
I'm
you go.
glad you said something. Yeah.
My mind's aflutter with all things that you could do, like different pet series, right? Like
Yeah.
what kind of pet would the Phantom Stranger have? And then he gets a book, right?
Yeah,
It's obviously a bird. I'm thinking, but
he probably
or you could
has
do,
one. I forget.
or you could do tiny turtles. That would be cool.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, there's lots of the stuff that, believe it or not, there's a lot of stuff that comes our way that I don't know.
Uh,
Sometimes, like, I can't do everything.
Gotta
I
have
know.
time. Yeah.
I
You know?
this the day you guys do like little Ghostbusters, I'm done. I'm just.
That's a
Mm.
good one, man.
I swear to God, I see that. I'm gonna be like, well, we're good. I mean, there was already a junior Ghostbusters, but we will accept this.
I
You
would
know,
I think
like
at
to
one
do a.
point we were offered something in Ghostbusters, and we it just didn't. We couldn't do it.
Yeah, I
no.
can do that. Yeah, it
Well,
was Slimer or something. I forget what it was.
yeah, it's probably you guys were doing your take on Slimer and the Ghostbusters, something like that, because that was the show after a while. Well,
Oh yeah.
we're coming past a little bit an hour, so we're gonna kind of wrap things up. So thank you both for coming on again. I can believe I can speak for us and Leo, who's still stuck in the box. Kari, we're gonna eventually poke some holes. Um, very excited about Flash Gordon Adventures, and I believe you
Yeah.
said that out the end of the month.
Yeah,
I
the
think it comes out next week, actually.
26th or
Nice.
25th or
26th.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. And in Skokie and in Harrison, both our comic shops, we're going to be doing signings.
Sweet,
Franco being in a New York store, and I'll be at the Skokie store near Chicago. And
nice,
we're going to have buttons and posters and the books and all kinds of cool stuff. Yeah.
sweet.
Can we order signed copies from you guys? For those of
Probably.
us who live in
From
like
the store.
Nebraska, because like, I'm
Oh,
in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I can't drive, so I can't
Yeah,
get to the
we
store.
do
yeah.
mail order. If you call the
If
store
I
and ask them, they'll
okay,
do it. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
awesome,
absolutely.
Kari,
cool.
Nice.
yeah, but
Awesome.
so essentially what Leo would say is, if you guys like, how is the best way for anybody to get in touch with you or anything, like what social medias are you using, that kind of thing. So, and
Oh, yeah, we're all over the place.
Yeah.
26, there he is. There's Adam.
there you go, Adam.
Yeah,
Punk rock.
I'm on Facebook a lot, Instagram, and emails and stuff.
Okay,
Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, and website. So yeah,
Yeah,
well,
just put my name, Google my name, you'll find me.
Google me. Yeah.
are you guys doing any shows in the next couple of months, or are you just laying low for the winter?
Not me. I'm not going anywhere till spring of next year, probably.
I got Sweet Bernie Con on Saturday. Well, it's actually not sweet. That's what I call it. It's Warrior Con. It's at a high school convention in Des Plaines, Illinois. Here, yeah,
Oh, no kidding.
yeah. It's high
This
school
weekend?
kids. Yeah, and I forgot what else I'm
That's
doing.
not far from me.
Then I think I'm good till this C2E2 is my next one.
Oh,
I
nice.
think it's in
Me too, for
April.
me, yeah.
We
Yeah.
always represent the Dorkening out there. I've been there for the last
nice.
3 years for the Dorkening Podcast Network. So seeing you
Yeah, man.
guys there,
Oh,
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah,
come
man.
see us there. We'll have copies of Flash, and we're
Oh,
working
good.
Yeah,
on stuff for the second one that's coming out eventually.
Nice.
yeah. There's more in store, but they haven't announced things yet. So
We'll
Oh,
keep.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't tell anybody.
no, I
No,
can't. There's a
no.
lot. I want to show a bunch of stuff, but I can't. That's why I haven't been online a lot. Like I haven't done a show in about probably over a month. And
Wow.
but once I finish, probably next week, I want to draw Yog's book 3. I want to do it on a live show. Because when I draw my pages live, I
Mhm.
keep going. I don't get up and get too many refills, and I don't slack off and look on the internet or nothing. So I'm gonna. I want to
Adam
call.
says
Yeah, I want to call 30 Days of Yogs. Did he tell me to shush?
he did.
Yeah. Kari.
About Yogs? I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Oh
Well,
yeah, I know. No, it's stuff I can't talk about. I know what he's talking about. Yeah, but I'm
well,
gonna. Yeah, I want to do a book called or a show, 30 Days of Yog, so I could finish my deadline in 30 days. So I think I could do it.
Godspeed or
Yeah.
flat speed. Well,
Flash speed. Pew, pew.
man. Well, thank you
Flash
both.
speed.
Yeah, down with Ming. And thank you both again for coming on. Franco, I'm sure I'll run into you. Art,
Yeah, man.
there'll be a show, man. Keep the hat on, keep drawing, do your thing.
Yeah.
But
Come by New York on the 30th and get a signed Flash book. So yeah.
oh, yeah, no, I'll definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys again for coming on. We really appreciate it, and we'll try to keep your real origin story under lock and key, so then you can continue to replicate the
Well,
fake.
next time we're on with you, we'll make up a different one.
I was gonna say, how do we know that this was the real?
The
We
real
don't-
one is there's a Sasquatch in the real one.
Do it.
Yeah.
Squatching.
It's like Grand Theft Auto. You're not sure if it's a real Sasquatch or not.
I don't know. Don't know. But
true.
thank you again so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And if you guys have any other projects coming up, Kickstarters or anything, let us know. We'd be more than glad to promote that for you and help you make that shmoney,
Yeah,
Cool,
man.
man.
Awesome.
You guys are awesome.
All right, thank you. You guys are awesome too. We're all awesome. Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Bye bye.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, man. We're still live.
Oh yeah, we're gonna stay on and be doing the news and stuff.
All right, I'm gonna go. Thanks, guys. You guys are awesome. Okay, bye bye.
Bye-bye.
And
I
we're
hate
back.
this layout. Boom.
And
There we
yes. And then there were 3. Okay, so Coop, thank you for joining us for the news. We're gonna blow through the shorts that we have. So just do what you do. Just be pretty and eye candy it, and chime in your things and your uniquely Walt Simonson way. And just to let you know, Coop, if we do have Walt on, I want you there.
Oh,
and
man, that'd be great.
And I just want to be like, which one are you?
So
Like,
you guys
this is
have
joke
just a
that
little
you and I
moment
had.
here. Okay.
Yeah, because he says that I look like Walt. And to be truthful, we were kind of standing next to each other at Terrificon, and he did look like my future version with like kind of like white hair and all that. So, and I did have the round glasses too at the time. So, yeah, kind of, I get it.
yeah, I'm sorry, buddy. I mean, I saw it and I was just like,
Well, you were
future.
there when I met Wheezy Simonson, right? So that was a moment.
I was like, future Coop? Like, it was like,
Maybe that's why she was so nice to me. That's good.
it's just, you
guys keep having a moment. I'll be right back after
Okay.
a second.
Yeah, it's cool.
Well, this would be a great time to break for our sponsor, Deadly Grounds Coffee. The Dorkening is presented by Deadly Grounds Coffee. Coffee to die for. You can check out some of their great flavors, as well as check out some of the other Dorkening shows, such as Retro Redoctopus or The Dork Knight. It's a podcast about Batman with 2 guys that love Batman, myself and Leo Pond, and then Brandon, who does not as much love Batman.
Very excited about the
You
Batman.
can check those out. We've got the Dead Dads Club, Strange. What was it?
The Token Dead.
Token with Dead, still Token. Yep. Strange Show. Sorry, I said that wrong, but yeah, check them out. Then you've got the entire Owl Network, so the Owl Light Network.
And Mr. Cooper, let's not also dissuade your show, Epic Tales from the Sewer. Discussing all things TMNT related and such.
Yeah.
you guys have some good stuff. There's always stuff to talk about. And
like an audiobook reading of the Ninja Turtle books, if you want to check that out. I do the IDW series, and I did the entire Last Ronin and the entire Lost Years. If you like silly voices with turtles and all that, that's what I do.
Indeed, it was fantastic, and then you always get some great guests on. The entire network is full of just wonderful people doing great things. Like there's not enough hours in the day to promote all the good work that we here on the Dorking do.
Yeah.
Because it's always so fun when we're all at a con together, because I'm like this must be how they feel during intercompany crossovers.
Yeah, exactly, right?
All in the same room, like, why? What's happening? What crisis is coming? Like, I was like, I knew it.
Exactly. That shout out to Bro Pro, to Tom Dog, doing his thing with his wrestling videos. He did a Ghostbusters video not too long ago. I don't know if you caught that one, but
yeah, he did, and he
did a Ghostbusters month.
Yeah. All the animation. I think I saw he was going through that. He did the movies, so.
Yep, and not a single time Coop was I contacted. So I was
No,
like,
not even. Yeah.
Nope. I was like, okay, let's see how it. I was like, okay, it's fine. I'm not bitter about it. I'm not bitter. I'm watching.
Well, the point is, we have some amazing friends, and we reach out and say thank you to our sponsors, and thank you to our fellow shows in the Dorkening Network. So.
Indeed.
Thanks